Hi, greetings. So happy that you're here. This is the Beginner's Kundalini Yoga Masterclass, Part 1. This is the first class of a simple 3-part series that I think you're going to love. It really unpacks Kundalini Yoga fundamentals in a way that's simple but easy and also profound. If you love this and you like this style, not just of Kundalini Yoga, but this approach towards Kundalini Yoga and the vibe that it brings, definitely check out the other 2 after this. The links below. Get your mat out ready. This is for anyone. You can modify the things that you're unable to do physically. It's for all types of people, all different shapes and sizes. Everyone is welcome. Enjoy the class. Welcome to the event. We're really happy that you're here. We're about to go live in just a few moments. But before we lift off, there's a few important things we want to make sure that you're aware of so you get the best possible experience out of this. First of all, the sound current is supremely important to us, the musical experience. So if possible, we really encourage you to use good speakers or headphones to experience the class with. Second, if you have any pre-existing injuries, please take care of yourself, modify as you need to. Don't risk exacerbating an injury because of a yoga exercise. If you have any pre-existing medical conditions and you're not quite sure if this would be good for you, please consult with your primary healthcare practitioner and make sure it's the right thing for you. Also, make yourself relatively comfortable. You can use a cushion, and in fact, we encourage you in our seated positions, meditation practices, to use a cushion. It helps lift the heart up, keep the spine straight, and it's more ideal for the flow of energy in the body and for the meditation experience. You can even be sitting in a chair with feet flat on the floor for those of you that are unable to sit in a meditative sitting posture on the floor. Just use a chair, and for many of the exercises, that will work perfectly fine. And then lastly, if you're having any problems with the video streaming, try refreshing the page, or if you see a gear icon on the video, adjust your resolution. If you're new to this type of thing, just take care of yourself. If there's something that you don't quite understand, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Everything that needs to click will click after a few times of trying it out. Enjoy the experience. We're about to get started in just a moment. Hey, welcome. Nice to be with you here. Thanks so much for being here with us. So this is a special class that is really designed for... we wanted to do something that really kind of unpacked the fundamentals of this style of Kundalini Yoga practice. And for, a long time, our approach in Life Force Academy has just been, jump in, take a class, and it works that way. That's how I started that, I never took a beginner's class when I first started. So it can work, any way really. And that's one of the beauties of this system of practice is it does kind of meet you where you're at, and there's a lot to it, but not in a. It doesn't mean a lot to it, meaning there's so much I have to learn. Actually, you don't have to learn very much at all, even by just taking this class, and kind of getting these fundamentals. that gives you the foundation to explore anything you want within it. What I mean by there's a lot is there's a lot of different choices and possibilities of what you can do and what you can choose to do in a Kundalini Yoga practice, depending on what your goals are. What is it that you're endeavoring to cultivate? What is it that you're endeavoring to improve or to experience? Or is there something that's really not working in how, my mind and I'm experiencing my mind and my body, that I really want to kind of take some energy away from that? And I really want to amplify some other things that help me be healthier and help me be happier. All of it's good for that. But then there's other considerations we have, like our bodies and our age, our body type, our certain, what is our kind of physical strength or flexibility, all that. And it's actually, if I'm not very flexible, no problem. If, I'm not very strong, no problem. This will help you with all of that, but it's not the goal. Flexibility is not the goal here. It's one of the things. It's one of the things that we of course want to improve so we can feel more comfortable in our bodies and we keep our bodies healthier. But certainly, it's not in any way like a primary goal. Strength of the body definitely can be improved, but also strength of the mind. And really, when it all when it all comes into one, the most important part of it is the mind. Because at the basic kind of understanding of the yogic sciences is that at the nucleus of each one of us, myself, yourself, everyone, is pure energy, pure intelligence, pure love. That's how, those they say, like the three qualities of the spirit. Pure intelligence, pure energy, pure love. Out of that grows three kind of primary or like primal desires, meaning we all want to live forever. Pure energy, life force. We all want to, none of us want to be, terminated. We all have that kind of longing for immortality, so to speak. That doesn't mean that's our primary. We're not seeking to just necessarily live forever in these bodies. That's not what that means. But it does give us the desire to connect with the part of us that is undying, to connect with the part of us that's really, through all the ups and downs and challenges of our lives, we want to be able to connect into that part of us that has never changed, that's pure, that's sweet, that's real. That's at the nucleus of all of us. Pure intelligence, we all want to know, what is this? What is truth? Who am I? What is this experience of life, of whatever? And then third is love. We all want to experience supreme, an undying love, a love that without conditions, that doesn't go up and then that doesn't come down, depending on the circumstances of our lives. So every living being has those three, that's why even animals, no, they don't want to die. A little spider is trying to get away from you if you find it in the house. It doesn't want to get smushed, At my house, we put a little cup over them and then put a little card underneath the cup, and we take the spider outside. No need to smush it. And so this is a practice of really becoming kinder in a fundamental way, and that's just by accessing our more subtle and sensitive parts of our being. And so with all these different exercises that we're going to be doing and all the different breath work that we're going to be doing, you can very much just kind of work with it in a way that works for you and your body. If you have some like physical injuries, please never ever risk exacerbating an injury because of the yoga exercise. Wherever it makes sense and you're able to see how to do it, you can always modify, but you can always just rest too. If there's some exercise we're doing where you're not unable to do the physical part, but you can do the breath part, that's great. You can do the breath part. And if there's some things that we're doing that I can't really do any of this right now, you can just relax. What I would encourage you to do is to relax, close your eyes down, enjoy the music, enjoy the space, and concentrate on your breath, breathing long, slow, and deep. Just trying to slow the breath down and simultaneously endeavoring to relax the mind. So when we do these types of things, not being too intellectual about things, not overthinking things too much, but being kind to ourselves, kind to our own bodies, and even kind to our own mind, then the mind relaxes. And when the mind becomes more relaxed, and then simultaneously we're using our breath and we're using the meditation exercises to help to invigorate, circulate, and bring vitality to our life force, our essential energy, what the yogis call prana, but we often will translate it as life force. It's like a life force intelligence, because it's that which is really animating everything. It's what causes the heart to beat. It's what causes the blood to move through the veins. It causes what is the intelligence of the body? How are some of your cells in your body choosing calcium? How do bone cells choose calcium? How do they know how to do that? Whereas other cells of the body will choose some other nutrient based on that. So there's this deep intelligence. How is it that our body digests the food that we ate earlier today? And how does it know how to metabolize it? Isn't that interesting? And bring the nutrients into the bloodstream. And then the heart is pumping and circulating it all around to all the different tissue layers and organs. Isn't it fascinating? What is that intelligence? What is it that rotates the earth? What is it that grew us in our mother's womb? What is it that moves us out of our mother's womb at seemingly the kind of, there's just some sense of synchronicity to life. Astrologers know that, and so they look at, all right, when we came out of our mother's womb, what was the constellation that was at the eastern horizon? At that moment, they call it your rising sign, and then it gives you some tone to your life, and it gives you a certain, so there's some tremendous intelligence that is really beyond our rationale, beyond the intellect, and that's why it's so important as a human beings to be cultivating our meditative mind, not just our thinking mind and not just our opinions, but that which is more subtle than all of that. When we are able to, on a more regular basis, cultivate that meditative sense of awareness, it's a type of like relaxed clarity where everything is able to really kind of recalibrate. So in any one of these classes that we're doing, really the goal is to kind of bring the mind and the body feeling into that meditative space, because the body is part of the mind. And when we really are able to kind of, experience that deeper meditative awareness, then the body gains this kind of sense of lightness. There is a lightness of being that we experience, and it allows us to feel ourselves, like our substantive self. And I can feel like, this is what I'm all about. This is, and even though my life may be difficult, there may be all sorts of unknowns and stress and maybe some even depression or any of the life experiences that we have as human beings. I have a tool now that I can connect with myself. I can connect with the more substantive part of me, the spirit of the being. And out of that, I'll always be given a certain sense of direction and guidance on how to live my life. And what is the wisdom for this situation of my life? And what is the wisdom for this situation of my life? And that's something that's innate with all of us. That's not some special power that some people have and others don't. We all have that intuitive energy of us. That's the spirit. And so this practice of of Life Force Academy, Kundalini Yoga, this is really our endeavor, is having a simple tool, an exercise system, so to speak, an exercise meditation system, because even the exercises are like meditations, that at any time allows us to kind of recalibrate no matter what's going on in our lives. Now, I recommend how do we use it? I recommend that you use it proactively, not primarily using it, okay, when I'm having a hard time, then go try something. Or I'm having, some anxiousness, then go do the meditation for nervous energy. Absolutely, if I do find myself anxious, then I can head over to the power practices in the Life Force Academy. I can go in there and I can go to the meditation for nervous energies, and it's an amazing meditation. And within just like 3 to 5 minutes, I can even have an adjustment. Now that's an excellent way to use the practice, but I don't recommend it being the primary way we use the practice. Just my recommendation. Everyone has their own way of doing this. So in this beginner's experience, that's what I also want to kind of help you understand, not just how to do the exercises, but how to use the practice itself, and how to think about how I might use it, and give you some options, because different people use it different ways. But what I recommend is to endeavor to have some level of consistency with it. Because reason being is to really like get the really deeper benefits of the practice, that happens by regularity. And so for some people, regularity is every day. Some people it's a couple of times per week, and for some people, it may be a few times a week, that type of thing. So you'll want to kind of feel out for yourself what makes sense for me in my life right now. As in the Life Force Academy, we have full classes. You're taking like right now, and what I do recommend is, especially at the beginning, but in general, I recommend this to everyone, is at least once a week, try to take a full 90-minute class. And for a couple of reasons. One main reason is because when you're taking a full class where you're not just doing the exercises, but you're going to start to understand more of the art and the science of it and the philosophy around it. Because when you start to understand the art and the science and the philosophy of the yogis, that really is where we find the juice in it. The practices are going to build your energy. The practices are going to help your magnetism, help the mind. But then still, okay, so then once you have that good vitality, what are we going to use it for? How are we using it to develop, more blissfulness? How are we using it to develop more consistent compassion in our lives? More kindness, how are we using it so we're less, emotionally triggered by the things that may have really been disrupting for us throughout all our lives? That really starts to come when you start to really kind of get deeper into the art of it, into the science, into the teachings themselves. So me personally, I consider the teachings at least as important as the exercises and the practices themselves. I consider them of equal importance. So that's why I recommend that, if possible, one class per week. Some people in the Life Force Academy do many full classes per week. And so you just, based on how much time do you have, what could you carve out? Like recently I just started doing martial arts with my son. And the only way that I was going to be able to do that and make it happen is like on my schedule at, Thursdays, 1 p.m. That's when it happens. I'll pick him up. We're going over there. It's in the schedule. I would really encourage, especially if you're, have a busy life like I do with a family and work. scheduling something in. This is the time. Maybe you have an accountability partner, maybe a friend or a family member who may want to do it with you. And so once a week together, you can get together, even if you're on the Zoom room together. So these are different ideas. So we have our class series. All those classes are on demand. So you can, they're classes that I've taught, and they're done thematically. So there's different topics for each series. And you can pick one that you like that is striking a chord for you, and then work through that series, one class a week. My favorite thing we do in the Life Force Academy, though, is our live streams. So depending on the month, depending on the time of year, but most of the time, every week we're going to have at least one live stream class where I'll be teaching, or Simrit will be teaching, or maybe even Charlotte or someone else will be teaching. But the live streams are a lot of fun. So that's just another example of how you can take one full class per week. The nice thing about the live streams, they're in the moment, and there's like, this is what's happening now in our lives. But really, all these classes are timeless. They go through stuff that are relevant for any time that we're living through. Okay, so those are the full yoga classes. Then you have, as I mentioned, the power practices. And the power practices, I'm not going to listen to anybody teaching or talk. It's like, I want to do this practice. I got 15 minutes, push play, get it done. Power practice to boost the immune system. Power practice for a beautiful night's rest, for deep sleep. You can do it before as part of your nightly routine to go to bed. Amazing. And you can look through all the different power practices. And I'll go over this with you more, but those are the primary, I would say the two primary ways to use the Life Force Academy. And then a few times a year, we also do 40-day challenges. And so you'll learn more about those soon. So if you're already not familiar with the 40-day challenges. But that's what I kind of, as you begin this journey, really kind of sense, okay, what would be the best way for me to use it? Maybe one class a week, and then I'm going to do this practice a couple times a week. Could be like that. Could be like, I want to do something every day. So maybe I don't have a whole 90 minutes to do a whole class every single day, but I'll do maybe a class once a week. And then I'm going to give you some suggestions in a little bit about, all right, what might you choose as a practice to do every single day. But before we get into any more of that, why don't we begin? Why don't we begin the set and the class and move our bodies some? We're going to do some exercises, pranic exercise that helps us kind of loosen up, moves the life force in the body. And then we're also going to do a beautiful meditation. So to begin, first things first, always we start tuning in. And you're going to take your hands, especially if it's chilly where you are, make a little heat, and then bring the hands into this prayer pose. And palms are pressed together, and knuckles of the thumbs into the sternum, center of the chest. And you simply close your eyes down. And take a deep inhale through your nose. And then you exhale. And just breathing through the nose. The breath is always through the nose unless otherwise we say. Sometimes we'll be doing breath through the mouth, but the default should always be through the nose, inhaling deeply through your nose. Exhaling. And just keep doing that for a few moments. And you're not just kind of ritualistically pressing the palms together, but this prayer pose, it helps to balance the glandular system, balance the hemispheres of the brain. So there's a gentle pressure there where you can feel it between the two hands. And as you continue that inhalation through your nose, and then exhalation through your nose, draw your gaze, relax your gaze into the space of what they call the third eye, or it's the pituitary. So between the two eyebrows, and if you could kind of feel like where the root of your nose meets the skull bone. So it's between the two eyebrows, but also it has some depth inwardly. And you just gently relax the optic gaze with the eyes closed into that general space. Not endeavoring to see anything, it's just kind of concentrating your mind. It's giving the mind a point of focus by simply drawing the optic nerve there, eyes up and in, but in a relaxed way, endeavoring to sustain your attention there. It's not easy at first, but it's just a gentle practice of the attention that gets distracted, drawing it back. The attention gets distracted, drawing it back. It stimulates your meditative mind, your intuitive mind, what they call the neutral mind. And now, again, take a deep inhalation and exhale. Now, that's the first part of tuning in. But the main part we do, and with any yogic practice where you're going to be moving your energy, maybe getting some benefit from a practice, you always want to tune in. And different practices have different ways of doing this. But you really want to kind of have some kind of formal moment or process where you're now centering your energy. You're now stopping the activities of whatever I have been doing the rest of the day so far. And I'm beginning this for this period of time, from when I'm beginning until when I'm ending. We'll have a way of ending the practice at the end, of really kind of creating a boundary to where now I'm doing this. I'm spending this time taking care of my energy, bringing my attention inward, and working on myself. It's a practice of really deep love. And so we do this by using a mantra. And the mantra we're going to be using, vibrating, we'll inhale through the nose, and it's like O-N-G. It's the sound of Om, but in this case it sounds like a ong, like O-N-G. It vibrates the frontal lobe, pituitary gland, frontal center of the brain, the evolutionary frontal cortex, like this, like a Om. The second word is Namo. The second part of the mantra is Namo. That vibrates your heart center. So it's Om Namo. And then you'll take a sip of breath in through your mouth. And then the next word is Guru. And it goes Guru Dev. Guru Dev is Guru Dev, navel comes in. We'll work with that later, but for now we'll just vibrate it like this. Guru Dev. And then again, Namo. Namo. So Ong is like think of it, it's like your body and mind is like an instrument. And now you're using a sound current, a sound frequency, in order to kind of tune the mind to its more subtle and more substantive frequency. Your kind of deeper vibration helps us to access the spirit better. So with this word, with these mantras, and that's what mantras are, they're kind of like high frequency sound currents. They're sound currents that help the energy in our mind and our body to kind of elevate and lift into the higher centers of the psyche, and help to open our hearts and help us to tune into the things of ourselves that are intelligent, that are pure, that are sweet. And so you're going to inhale. Gurudev Namo. Like it's a tuning fork. Try it again. Om. Try to really vibrate the sound. Try it again. Inhale deep. Om. Gurudev Namo. Om. Gurudev Namo. And final time. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. And inhale. Suspend the breath in for a moment. And exhale. Beautiful. Everybody always wants to know, what does it mean? Well, these things, it's difficult to translate them. But what it can generally mean is Namo is often kind of traditionally translated as I bow. But for us who are Westerners, that I bow sometimes, doesn't connect. And so what I think another way of saying the same thing in a certain way is I'm making myself a good vehicle for, I'm acknowledging there's something greater than I can understand going on here. And I do have a sense of reverence towards that. And I recognize that exists, that energy is not something outside of myself. It exists in all things, including me. And so it's like the magnificence of it causes me to say Namo. Like it's a being a good vehicle for that which is true, which is real, which is love. And then Gurudev, Guru is darkness, Ru is light. So the Guru is not a person in this case at all. The Guru is the energy of wisdom in life that comes to us in all different ways. So Gurudev is like divine wisdom, the wisdom of that supreme love, that supreme intelligence, that as it comes to us, Gurudev Namo. So it's tuning into that. So as we start to do a powerful practice that can really generate energy in our system and bring us into a meditative space and really help us, we also take a moment to kind of reflect and have that genuine wish that if whatever is helpful to me in this experience, if I'm able to get some benefit of it from it, and I have a general wish of the heart that may others also be benefited as well. If somehow I'm benefited, may I kind of extend that goodness of whatever blessings that I have and gratitudes that I have in my life, even if they're very small, that I share that. And it's not something I'm just kind of hoarding for myself, because we know that the real path of happiness, it has altruism at its foundation. So there's a core center spiritual principle of all things, is that if we really want lasting happiness, we have to share whatever that happiness that we have with others, and not in some proselytizing way or some pretentious way, but just with sometimes the warmth of our heart, a smile on our face. Can I help you with that? Kindness. And then that genuine and cultivating as a practice. That may be like really the first yogic teaching. Cultivating as a practice to generate a genuine desire to be concerned for the well-being of others, and to genuinely, not in a manufactured way, but genuinely over time, have a really sincere wish for beings to be alleviated from the suffering that they're experiencing, no matter who they are, not just our friends and family. But that's something, we're always working to cultivate and deepen within ourselves. Okay, so first exercise, you're going to bring your hands to your ankles, or your shins. And if you're sitting on it, you can do these on a chair, many of these. If you are, your feet will be flat on the floor and your hands on your lap. So in this case, it's just a spinal flex. It's an inhale, you lift through your chest, and exhale back. So it'll look like that. Eyes will be closed. Now really try to make the breath, deep and rhythmic. It's not a super long breath, but it's kind of a deep and rhythmic breath. It has a strength to it like that, and I'm going to unpack the posture a little more in just a few moments. But for right now, just see if you can, just the best that you can, lifting through your sternum, Bringing the breath rhythmically into the body. Eyes closed down. Good. Now deeply inhale. And suspend the breath for a moment. And draw your eyes into that third eye area between the two eyebrows. And exhale. Very good. So let's do it again. And so here's essentially how this posture works. Is your chin is ever so slightly in. And when we do the inhale part, it's as if like your sit bones are pressing down. And you might use a cushion like Charlotte's using. You don't have to use a cushion, but for most of us, a cushion's gonna help. And so then you make sure your sit bones are connecting as best as you can without excess kind of tissue below you. And then your chest is, sternum's lifted up and chin is ever so slightly in. And so then on the inhale, it's a lifting through your sternum. So it's not just going forward and back, but there's like a lift to the sternum with it. And so as your chest is lifting, you feel like your sit bones pressing into the earth. And then with that, and you don't need to try to make the maximum extension of your spine. It's nice and gentle actually, and you're putting more emphasis into the breath. And like with every inhale, it's really kind of like moving the breath, moving your life force, the qi as they call it in the Chinese system. The qi, the prana, same thing. Using the breath and the rhythm. And as you continue, eyes closed down. Draw where the root of the nose meets the skull bone. See if you can relax your gaze. And then establish that rhythm. Just like that. It's beautiful. And so now the breath and the body are in rhythm together. It will cause a synchronization. The mind will start to come into relaxation. But in order to concentrate the mind's energy, because where your attention goes, your life force flows. And as soon as you start moving your breath and gazing the third eye, the subconscious starts to get stimulated, and it can feel like your mind's more active at first because now you're paying attention to it. So we give the mind something to concentrate on. That's the value of a mantra. And so it's like the sound of the breath becomes sat, nam. Sat is like trueness, truth. Nam is like the energy of the being. They call it the true name. Your true nature is beyond comprehension. So then we use the mantra, like a chisel, chiseling through the density of our mind, the confusion of our mind. And you imagine the breath is chanting Sat on its inhale, and the breath is chanting Nam on the exhale. Using the sound current to help bring the mind into greater and greater clarity and meditative awareness. Nice and gracefully. Really, substantive with the breath. Draw in the life force. And And now inhale deeply. Suspend the breath for a moment. And relax, exhale. Beautiful. Good. Now, a couple more. You're going to take your hands up to here. Again, chest lifted up, shoulder blades released. And you're going to inhale left and exhale right, like that. Go any rhythm, any pace that feels good to you. Inhaling left, exhaling right. You know, Charlotte has her body, her type, her flexibility level, her strength level, and it's different than mine, and it's different than yours. So she's a well practiced in these exercises and can help us see kind of the right mechanics of it. But kind of more ideal from the structural perspective. But knowing that that's not our most important thing, the most important thing is to do what works for us right now. There's the ideal, then there's our real. Let's do our real and not worry about it too much. And slowly over time, it becomes more and more ideal. Our main focus becomes the breathing and bringing the mind into a single point of concentration and focus the best we can. It's hard work. Using the breath. And inhale deeply. Suspend the breath. And draw your gaze to that third eye point. And exhale. Very beautiful. Now I want to add something into this. I consider the most important part of all of these exercises that final moment where it's inhale deeply. So like first we did that for a while, and then it's inhale, suspension of the breath, but also suspension of the mind. Because during the exercises, many of them are aerobic in nature, you're left, right, up, down, forward, back, etc. It's what you can think of as like provoking the polarity, positive, negative, good, bad, male, female, up, down, dark, light. As long as our mind is kind of like swinging in those polarities, it's really, really good. Now it's really, really bad. And so when it's really, really good, I emotionally grip to the really, really good. And when it's really, really bad, I emotionally push away what's really, really bad. All of us have that deep subconscious tendency of trying to hold on to more pleasure and trying to push away pain. But we aren't effective at that. It's an impossibility. No matter how hard we try, we'll never be able to fully maximize pleasure, and we'll never be able to fully reduce pain in the ordinary state of consciousness and awareness. And so the stronger that tendency is with us, the more of a roller coaster our lives tend to be. And so what this is it certainly could be called is like neutralization of your mind and prana and life force. So it's bringing the mind into that relaxed space where if things are difficult, I allow it to be that way. If things are good, I allow it to be that way and I enjoy. But that's different than gripping and sensationalizing things that are good when they're good. Because to the extent that I emotionally kind of sensationalize or grip happy things or pleasurable things or comfortable things when they come, to that extent, I'm going to be emotionally gripped by the painful things and the difficult things when they come. And they will come. And sometimes things are really nice and smooth in our lives, and other times they're really rocky. Neither one of those times are ultimately better. The really challenging times in our life is when we really learn and really grow. But if we don't have that deeper vitality to hold that perspective within it, it becomes very hard to learn the wisdom that is coming out of that difficulty, and therefore we have to experience it over and over and over again. So in this case, when you're going, and then all of a sudden you inhale to the center, at that point, the idea is to just be like empty, like an emptied vessel. Like trying to just bring the mind and to be like totally receptive, not trying to do anything in particular, relaxing the mind and relaxing the body with the breath suspended in. And then you exhale. So it's left, right. Couple minutes, then all of a sudden inhale deep. And at that point, suspension. Keep the breath in, but relax the upper body. Draw your gaze into the third eye point between the two eyebrows. It takes practice. It takes time to kind of be able to relax your gaze into that area. And relax, exhale. Now, the last thing I'm bringing into it is during that also what we do is we lift what we call the root lock or mulband. And that's like a lifting of the pelvic floor and a drawing in of your navel point. Okay? These are really the fundamentals. Even in just this first class of this little beginner series, these are the real fundamentals that will carry over into pretty much everything we do and all the other work we do in this Life Force Academy. So when you inhale and you suspend the breath, then you draw up the kind of the rectum area, sex organ area, the perineum, and then the navel, which is the abdomen just below your belly button. Not the belly button itself, but just a couple of inches below your belly button. You draw the abdomen in there, up and in. So lifting up through that pelvic floor, rectum, and then the sex organ area, and then the navel, up and in. It takes practice. You may have never really worked with those muscles before. It may take some time. So with all of this, I just want to encourage you, and I know it's hard, but I want to encourage you to try not to rush it or worry about it too much if you're not able to figure out what I'm even talking about. Just keep trying a little. A lot of these things, a lot of the technique in Kundalini Yoga comes with a little more subtlety, actually. And it takes a little time, and it's, that's what it is. And it takes like kind of messing around with it. It might not all click the first couple of times. And so, but what you can do is probably just breathe. Inhale left, exhale right. You can suspend the breath in. That's keeping the breath in, but trying to keep the mind and the upper body relaxed with the breath held in. You know what I mean? Like that. And then exhale. Okay, so we'll do this exercise one more time. And then in a minute or so, we'll inhale, suspend, bring the gaze to the third eye, and lift through your root lock. Okay, are you ready? All right, and inhale left, exhale right. And now, to the center, your deepest inhale. Suspend the breath. Lift through the root lock, rectum, sex organ, navel up and in. Draw the gaze into the third eye, gently, and be very still, empty, like an emptied vessel. And exhale. Relax. Beautiful, right? That's all there is to it, really. Neutralization of your life force causes the mind to relax and gain a clarity. All of a sudden, it's like, it's not like all my problems disappeared, but they're losing their intensity. They're losing their electricity, and now it's like I'm not overwhelmed. My anxiety is reduced. My depression has lightened, even though it may still be there some. It isn't like all of a sudden, boom, all my problems are gone. That's why we say consistency. Consistency. The more consistent you are with this stuff, and it's not like trying to make it happen really quick. It's slow and steady. The changes that we make in a slower, steady fashion are the ones that tend to stabilize and be long-lasting. When we try to make everything change really quick, you may make some change really quick, but then there tends to be a more dramatic reaction towards it later. So that's the idea. Hands on your knee. And you're going to inhale, shoulders up, exhale, release. Keep going. Every exhale, let the shoulder blades just release down. Just release down the back. Now inhale and squeeze up. And squeeze out the tension a little bit. And then exhale, relax. Beautiful. You see? And so that's a beautiful way of just those simple 3 exercises working from the base of the spine, lower spine, lumbar area, thoracic area, spinal twists, and then in the cervical area, opening up the whole spinal channels. And most classes that I teach, you'll do those exercises for sure. And if you're doing something at home and you say you wanted to do a little power practice meditation, but you want to do a little warm-up beforehand, you can use our warm-up sequences in the power practices, or you can do those 3 exercises yourself. That's great. Okay, and we're just getting started. The next class in the series will unpack this further. Okay, but so what we're going to do now is stretch the legs out wide, like Charlotte's doing there. And you're going to inhale to the center, and then kind of turn towards your left and exhale down. And then inhale back up and turn the other way and exhale down, just like that. So the key here is lead with your navel and your heart, not trying to get your head to your leg or your knees, but actually moving from your navel area, leading with your heart. And so Charlotte, do it as if you didn't have as much flexibility, and you can see. So if you had very limited motion, you would still keep your heart lifted though. Yeah, like that. See how much better it looks though now she's doing it that way? And it looks better because it's actually the energetics of it are better. So do it how you were doing it again. I know it feels a little awkward. You feel like a little like when you're doing it with a good posture, and she's trying to be less flexible than she is, it feels a little like you're overdoing it, but you're not at first because we're getting the kind of fundamentals down. So your feet are flexed, you're bringing some energy into your toes, and then when you inhale, you kind of engage that leg that you're over, whichever one you're over, and as you lift, you kind of engage the leg, it helps you lift a little. So it's not just stretching, it's strengthening as you stretch. And you see how her feet are flexed and she brings her energy into her toes and feet? That's what you want to work towards. And at every inhale, you're going to fill your lungs. Now inhale, center. Suspend the breath. Draw the gaze up to the third eye and lift through your root lock. And relax. Yeah. Good. Shake out your legs a little. Simple. Just kind of getting started. Okay? And so now we're also going to try our first breath of fire. Okay? And so what we're going to be doing with this, it's a rhythmic breath through their nose, like a... Takes a little practice, but the exhale and the inhale are of equal strength. So it's a... Let me give you even a little bit of a slower rhythm to work with this. That's not a fast rhythm for breath of fire once you're really kind of, a little more adept at it. So you see that? So the chest is lifted up. The index finger to the thumb. It's called Jnana Mudra. Palms facing up, chest lifted, shoulders release. You'll bring your eyes into that third eye gaze. You'll take an inhale in, and you begin a rhythmic. Try 30 seconds of this. Now inhale deep, suspension of the breath. Meditate into the third eye, lift the rectum, sex organ, navel. And exhale. You see that? Negative, positive, exhale, inhale. We're living in a polarity planet, a polarized reality. The more we neutralize that, really the more happy we become, more clear-minded, confident we become. So it's circulating the life force. So in breath of fire, as the exhale happens, your navel comes gently in. As the inhale happens, the navel relaxes. I even hesitate to tell you that right away because I don't want you to start thinking too much about your navel, because once you really get it right with the breath, the navel will take care of itself. But it is good to be aware that it's kind of a powerful breath. It's not an aggressive breath, but it's an energetic, substantive breath. I like the word substantive. It's a substantive breath that comes from deep. That's you're using the navel just below your belly button. So. And if you lift through your chest a little bit, shoulders back, it gives your navel more room to operate. Got it? Inhale. Now here's another nice way of learning breath of fire. You can use what's called like a lion's breath or a panting breath. It's almost panting like a dog. The chest is lifted, the tongue comes out, and you'll go like that, like a... Now keep going, close your mouth, do it through the nose. Inhale, suspend the breath, and exhale. So what I want you to do between now and the next class you take is work on that breath of fire a little bit. It's even just a minute a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, and just, see if you can work at that, creating like it doesn't need music, just anything like a... and endeavoring to keep the face muscles relaxed. At first it might be like, because you're trying to learn it, and it's a little bit difficult if you haven't done it before. But over time, you want to really relax the face and relax the mind. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here for this kind of final part is what's called the aura charge. And another, this is an exercise, or really a type of a breathing meditation that I do pretty much every single day. Most classes I teach will do this. It's kind of loosely or lovingly called aura charge, strengthening the magnetism, helping to lift the life force in the organism. And so we're going to do it for 3 minutes. And within that 3-minute period, you may find that you would love to put your arms down. And that would be totally normal. And you might do that. And if you need to, okay, fine. But if you're able to sustain it, even if it's a little bit difficult, then it really does help kind of the vitality to strengthen. So this is how we're going to do it. You're going to have your thumbs are out, and the pads of your fingers touch the pads of your palms, like that. So the thumbs are out, and then the fingertip pads touch the tops of your palms, like you're connecting electrical circuit, and you kind of are. And then you bring your arms up to 60 degrees, and you try to keep your chest lifted and try to keep the shoulder blades released down the back. And you take a deep inhale here, and fully exhale. And inhale deep, and begin a breath of fire. All of my heart is with you. How can I go somewhere else when all of my thoughts are with you? Try to keep the gaze, third eye point. Try to keep your chest lifted, shoulders released, and extending through your knuckles, really, through the arms, reaching out through the knuckles. And really using your breath to elevate your energy. Using the breath to elevate the life force in the system. Stagnant energy, it's kind of stagnated in the lower part of the psyche, lifting into the heart center. Yes, that's good. Even Charlotte, she makes her adjustment. Her shoulders release, because that kind of gravity starts to weight on you, but you try to refocus, put your energy into the breath. Using your navel like a lever to lift the energy. 30 seconds. Inhale deeply and bring your thumbs to touch. Stretch through your spine. Touch your fingertips to the ceiling. Release your shoulder blades down the back. Touch the ceiling. Inhale a touch more. Inhale, stretch up. Stretch. Now hold the posture and exhale. Inhale deeply. Release the shoulder blades. Lift through the root lock. Pelvic floor, rectum, sex organ, navel. Touch the sky with your fingertips. Third eye gaze, stretch. Now hold the posture, exhale. Now one last time, inhale deep. Extend through the fingertips, lift through the root lock, release through the shoulders, gaze of the third eye, heart wide open. And very slowly sweep the arms through your sense of magnetic field.
All of my love is for you.
And just meditate there by simply having the index finger sealed to your thumb, palms facing up at your knees, allowing the breath to flow long and deep through your nose. And as the inhale comes in, hearing the sound vibration, sat. And as the exhale goes out, meditating the mantra Nam. Slowing the breath down. Inhaling Sat. Exhaling Nam. And then bring the hands into the prayer pose, center of your chest. Take a moment to kind of count the blessings in your life, even if they're only really minute. You know, somewhere warm to be. You have some food to eat. You have some ability to try something new. Whatever, or maybe there's great blessings in your life. Reflecting on those and feeling a really genuine sense of inner gratitude, thankfulness. And then extending that warmth as like a genuine wish that all others also have blessings and health and happiness in their life. And we seal our practice by vibrating that mantra Sat Nam, Sat, the sound, the vibration, the truth, Sat. Nam is like the name, the true name, or the true beingness, the subtle, incomprehensible nucleus of your being. No. Thanks so much. So in the second part of this short beginner series, we're going to continue building on all of this. So we'll go over all this again. It's not that, all right, in this class we learn that and then we move on to totally different things. It's not like that at all. Everything just kind of builds on each other. So we'll continue going over the same things and then adding a little more. There's not that much more to add, actually. But you'll get more and more comfortable with it, and you'll understand the kind of the structure of a Kundalini Yoga practice really easily and how the classes work. This was just a short beginning, and hopefully it was helpful. And thanks so much for being a part of it, and looking forward to doing the next one with you. Thanks so much. Hey, awesome job. So glad you did this class. I bet you're feeling good. I really want to encourage you to, in the next couple days, do part 2 and part 3 of this series. It's really going to build upon what we did in here, and it's going to take it to a whole new level, and you're going to really start to understand how to work with the dynamics of Kundalini Yoga, but also the dynamics of your own energy system and thus your own mind. It's so powerful. Helps us be happy, helps us have good vitality. So to do part 2 and part 3 in this series, you got to get inside the Life Force Academy. And if you love this class, you're going to love the Life Force Academy. It's so cool. There's so much in there. But the starting point is just the next 2 classes in this series, this part 2 and part 3. It's just $1 to join the Life Force Academy. That puts you on a 14-day trial. And then after that, it's only $25 a month. And we're doing live classes every week, but there's a library of countless yoga classes that I've taught and other teachers have taught, what we call power practices, where you don't have time to do a full practice, but you want to get in a good Kundalini Yoga practice before you start your day or before you go to bed. I only got 15 minutes. You just push play on the 15-minute power practice. It takes you through it. The music's great. It's fantastic. Community of people from all over the world. We have members in over 60 countries around the world. It's really beautiful, really fun, really elevating. Something to connect into on the regular to keep your energy lifted and inspired and your vitality good, connected to our deeper purpose. So the link's here in the description. To start your $1 trial, I want to invite you to come on in. It feels great. And of course, you can cancel at any time. Thanks so much for taking this class, and hope to see you in the Life Force Academy. But you're wired somehow. Like you have a certain way of existing that is absolutely natural and skillful for you. It's you're talented in that way. It's how your heart expresses itself. It's how you get inside of love, and how love expresses itself uniquely through you.
If you have a mind, you have a mission.
If you have a mind,
You have a mission.
If you have a mind,
You have a mission.
Hey, thanks for watching on YouTube. Best easy way to stay in touch with us. Hit the subscribe button here. You'll see our videos when they come up. If you enjoyed this one, hit the like button. It'll help more people see it, help the channel grow. I appreciate you watching.